Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. And today I'm going to be talking about suicide resources. And specifically, my topic is where to turn, resources, suicide hotline / help, examples of a call list, emergency help, having a plan if things get really bad, having a backup plan, etc. Going to try to break it down into sort of small chunks for you just for this quick video. I do have a plethora of resources for suicide or just for crisis in general. And I'm going to sort of list them as links in the information section of this video, so make sure you look for those. This is a really important topic, guys, and it's something that you shouldn't take lightly. And even if you're thinking, well, that'll never be me, or that's never been me, or I've thought about suicide, but I really don't think that I would ever do it, I hope that you'll still pay attention to this video, because especially for people who are struggling with eating disorders, it is a very lonely thing. And the more alone you feel, the more likely you are to think that things would be better off if you weren't here. And I just want to really impress upon you that that's not the case. So please give this a listen. The number one thing that immediately comes to mind, it's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-TALK, T-A-L-K. And if you're in crisis, you call that number and they will immediately reroute you to the proper location, wherever, depending on where you're calling from. It's a 24-hour hotline. It's completely free to anyone in suicidal crisis or emotional distress. The other thing that I wanted to say is, obviously, I'm giving resources that are for America, for the United States. That's where I live. Those are the resources that are accessible to me. So unfortunately, I don't have a ton of international links. I'm going to try to find what I can and post those in the information section as well. So definitely look for those. And I did recently post a blog post about international resources for eating disorders. Now, this doesn't have to do with suicide, directly, but it obviously relates to this channel very much, and a lot of people struggling with eating disorders want to know where they can get help. And a lot of the readers of my blog, or a lot of the viewers of this channel, they're not necessarily Americans, they're from all over the place. So I was trying to compile some resources for everybody. So I'm going to post the link to that as well. One big thing that I want to talk about is a call list. And a call list is something that I would describe as something that you already have mapped out for yourself, so that when you are in a time of crisis, all you have to do is flip to that page or open that piece of paper, and a whole bunch of names and phone numbers are there for you. And a good example of a call list would be the very, very first page of your notebook, or the very, very first page of your journal, a place that you will have accessible to you, a place that you can see on a regular basis, a place that you don't have to look for if you're in a time of crisis. The very, very first page after the cover of your journal, for example. And on that list, it's going to have people that you know that you can call no matter what, any time of day. And, it can be a best friend, it can be a significant other, it can be a parent, it can be a teacher, a counselor, anyone. Now, you might be saying to yourself, I don't think I have anyone like that I can call any time of day. But you do, because even if that list is only 3 suicide hotlines, or 3 crisis prevention centers, or even if it's just a couple of crisis hotlines and the name and phone number of your counselor or therapist, that's enough. It doesn't have to be, 20 names long. It doesn't have to be 10 names long. You want to have people that you can call. And if you can't think of anyone, you need to come up with a plan right now, and you need to make that list. If you've ever been struggling one night, or one day when, for you at least, if it's ever been an option, you need to have this list, and you need to have it now. This is part of your plan if things get really bad, but other parts of your plan can be go to mom's or go to so-and-so, whoever your best friend is or someone that you can turn to, get in your car and get out of the house away from whatever it is that is sort of pulling you to take your own life. And it's really important to have a plan, not just sort of think of it in your head, what would I do if this were to happen? You want to have a plan right there by this call list. You want to have a piece of paper saying, if I feel this way, this is what I will do. And you want to write it out. You want to explain everything directly to yourself. It doesn't have to be in letter form. It doesn't have to be an essay. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It just has to be a plan. And if you have a plan, you're going to be that much safer. I think a lot of times people think that when they're having a crisis or when they are struggling with something and they're feeling so alone, they're just praying for someone to help them or for something to happen, to keep them from harming themselves or to keep them being okay. And people don't realize that they have to reach out. You may have to reach out to someone in order to help yourself. Sometimes, people aren't going to know that you're struggling. They're not going to realize that you're at home and, you're feeling alone and you're feeling hopeless. So that's the number one thing that you need to put by that call list. In big letters, reach out. You need to reach out. You don't want to underestimate that, because when it comes to the point that you feel like you might do something or you feel, that things are hopeless, you're going to be so much less likely to reach out. So you need to have that motivation. You need to have it there, a call list saying, reach out now. All the people that you can call with their phone numbers right in front of you. So you don't have to even, flip through your phone. You don't even have to get an address book and look up numbers. You want to have everyone's name right there, right in front of you, telling you what you need to do, and you need to do it ahead of time. There's actually a special link, and it's called, if you're thinking about suicide, read this first. And it's a site put together by a person who's not a mental health care professional, but has some things to say about suicide, and it lists resources and information on recovery and things like that, and talks about the stigma of suicide, but it's something to sort of make you stop and think when you're actually entertaining that as an option. So I'm going to post the link to that place as well. There's a bunch of websites and organizations out there that are working for suicide awareness, working to prevent suicide, and obviously, that's an amazing goal, but I'm more talking about what you want to do when you or someone is actually struggling with the thought of suicide, of taking your own life. So I'm going to list as many resources as I possibly can for you. Again, like I said, I live in America, in the United States. So the resources that I list are going to be primarily for the United States. That does not mean that there are not resources out there for other countries. If you've ever been in the situation where you're contemplating suicide, or you have been a friend or a family member of someone who's been contemplating suicide, or has actually attempted suicide, or has actually succeeded at taking their own life, you know that this is scary stuff, that it's big, it's nothing that you can turn back from. And I just really want to make that clear, that there is help available. There is a lot of help available, and you're certainly not alone. I mean, I'm making a video about this, and I'm making a video about this for a reason. You're not alone. And you need to do whatever it takes now, so that if ever at some point in your future, when you are feeling very low, when you are having a really hard time, when you are struggling with your eating disorder or with any other problems you might have along with your eating disorder, that you do what it takes, that you have all of those things, the plan, the resources at your fingertips, so that you are able to stop yourself from making a choice that you can't turn back from. You are so important. This world is not the same without you. You need to find out who you can turn to today, so that if you're ever in a situation that frightens you, that you have someone that you can go to. It can be one person, it can be 5 people. It's very, very important. Support is so important. It's something, suicide is something that, you obviously only do alone, but if you can stop yourself from being alone when you're feeling that way, you are so much closer to making a better choice. The number one thing is, if you are not afraid to take your own life, don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, that's not scarier than the alternative. You really need to make a plan and make it now, and I hope you will. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you next time.